Let me take a moment and talk about Riverside.fm. It allows you to record studio quality audio and up to 4K video. When you need to record audio and video, Riverside.fm can do it. So if you're looking for a hero platform for all your recording needs, from podcasts to webinars to any video content, Riverside.fm. I've got a promo code for you where you'll receive a 30% discount on the first 3 months of your subscription. I'll give it to you twice. The promo code is SHIPIT. All one word, SHIPIT, and you'll pick up a 30% discount on your first 3 months of your subscription. Riverside.fm.
In this episode of the Football History Headlines, we discuss Super Bowls I and XII, and the winningest 49ers coach in franchise history steps down, as well as many more Hall of Fame birthdays and legendary stories. It's all coming up in just one moment.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history on a day-to-day basis. Your host, Darren Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time. So as we come out of the tunnel of the Sports History Network, let's take the field and go no huddle through the portal of positive gridiron history with pigskindispatch.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes from pigskindispatch.com, and welcome to the Pig Pen, where we'll talk about the football history headlines for January 15th today, as well as some great Hall of Famer birthdays. And we'll start off in January 15th, 1939, at Wrigley Field in Chicago. A new addition to the NFL lineup of games arrived as the first NFL All-Star game had been played. The NFL Championship game winners would have the honor of facing off against the best players of the other league squads. The ProFootballHallOfFame.com website informs us that 1938's NFL champions were the New York Giants, as back on December 11th, they won the title over Green Bay 23-17. In this All-Star game, the Giants narrowly defeated the All-American All-Stars 13-10. January 15th, 1956, Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. The 6th NFL Pro Bowl was played and assembled the league's top players to battle each other representing their respective conferences. That season, it was the Eastern Conference who edged out their Western Conference rivals by the narrowest of margins, 31-30. The game's outstanding player award was claimed by Ollie Matson, the running back of the Chicago Cardinals, per the American Football Database. Matson apparently had the play of the game on a 91-yard zigzagging punt return, per the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette article the morning after the game. January 15th, 1961, Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. The 11th NFL Pro Bowl results are once again brought to us via the American Football Database Post. In the game, the Western Conference knocked off the Eastern Conference 35-31 this year. The coaches selected to guide the Pro Bowlers were Buck Shaw of the Philadelphia Eagles and Vince Lombardi of the Green Bay Packers. It was the final contest for the outstanding quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, who hung up his helmet after the game. The game's MVPs were the Baltimore Colts' Johnny Unitas at quarterback and the New York Giants linebacker Sam Huff. January 15th, 1966, at Rice Stadium in Houston, Texas, the AFL All-Star Game was played for the 5th time to celebrate the top players in that league. The All-Star squad would face the league champion Buffalo Bills, according to the website RememberTheAFL.com. It was the All-Stars who would get the better of the champs in this game as they beat the Buffalo Bills 30-19. The most valuable players in the game were the Jets quarterback Joe Namath of the All-Stars and Frank Buncombe, the linebacker from the Los Angeles Chargers. January 15th, 1967. This is a big one that we alluded to earlier. Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, the first AFL-NFL World Championship game, which was later referred to as Super Bowl I to all of us. It was played. The AFL put up their champion, the Kansas City Chiefs, against the old guard of the NFL, the Green Bay Packers. The Packers of Vince Lombardi were the heavy favorites, but still a record television audience of over 60 million viewers tuned in to watch the game, per the History.com story. To the surprise of most, the Chiefs only trailed by 4 at the halftime break. In the second half, Green Bay turned up the temperature a bit and scored a TD set up by Willie Wood's interception of a 50-yard return off of KC quarterback Len Dawson. Elijah Pitts scored 2 of the Packers' touchdowns, and end Max McGee added a third as the Green Bay Packers rolled the Chiefs 35-10. Green Bay signal caller Bart Starr was recognized as the game's MVP. And if you thought that story was super, we have another Super Bowl story. It happened on January 15, 1978, at the Louisiana Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. The Super Bowl XII was billed as the Denver Broncos and their Orange Crush defense against the Doomsday defense of the Dallas Cowboys. The GoldenRankings.com website writes that the Dallas D won that one out, supported by the high-flying Cowboys offense that boasted running back Tony Dorsett and had Roger Staubach managing the huddle. The Cowboys displayed the superior team that day as they won by 3 scores over the Denver Broncos, 27-10. For the first time in Super Bowl history, there were 2 MVPs chosen, and they were both from the defensive side of the ball, as Dallas's defensive end Harvey Martin shared the spotlight with teammate Randy White. January 15, 1994. Lawrence Taylor announces his retirement from the NFL per report on the sportscastings.com. Taylor, known as LT, was a member of the New York Giants for his entire pro career, which spanned 13 seasons from 1981 through 1993. He made the Pro Bowl in 10 of those seasons and was voted as the 1986 NFL Most Valuable Player after dropping quarterbacks at an amazing 20.5 times behind the line. January 15th, 1995, at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. San Diego traveled to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers in the AFC Championship game. The folks at theboltsfromtheblue.com have an excellent synopsis of the game. The first half went pretty much how experts expected it to. The Steelers' defense was stout and held the Chargers to a mere 3 points and less than 50 yards of total offense, while the Steelers had put up 10 on the halftime scoreboard. The powerful Pittsburgh run game was sputtering, though, as San Diego's defense held one of the league's top rushers, Barry Foster, to little gain on the ground. The second half had a lot of surprise, as blocking tight end Alfred Popenu was the target of a quarterback Stan Humphries' 43-yard touchdown pass play, and the Chargers were back in the game, down 3 late. Late in the fourth quarter, the Steelers sent an all-out blitz against Humphries, who found speedster Tony Martin on single coverage with no safety help, and the Chargers scored again. San Diego Chargers denied the Pittsburgh Steelers a Super Bowl bid, as they claimed a 17-13 victory that sent them to the Super Bowl. And their opponents? Well, per OnThisDay.com, that same day the game was played, Candlestick Park in San Francisco, that the NFC Championship, the San Francisco 49ers, beat the Dallas Cowboys 38-28. January 15th, 1997, speaking of the 49ers, San Francisco's head coach, George Seifert, announces his resignation after 8 highly successful NFL seasons with the 49ers. An archived report on the LA Times website gives a great read on the situation. Seifert was a San Fran native, and he acted as the Niners defensive coordinator under Bill Walsh and was on staff in 3 Super Bowl wins as an assistant coach. When he took over for Walsh in 1989, he led the team to 2 more Super Bowl victories in 5 seasons. The reasons were unclear for the resignation, but George left as the winningest coach in franchise history with 98 wins and 30 losses. Now let's take a quick break from our headlines, and let me remind you can learn more about gridiron history on our website, pigskindispatch.com, and you can contact me, Darren Hayes, at pigskindispatch@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Speaking of hearing from someone who's here, is one of my podcasting partners from the sportshistorynetwork.com that has a message just for you.
Hi folks, are you curious about some of the unique players, teams, games, and events of pro football's past? If you are, please check out my bi-weekly podcast, The Pigskin Past. I'm Joe Zagorski, a member of the Pro Football Writers of America and the Pro Football Researchers Association. I've written 3 books about pro football history, and I'm currently writing my 4th. Now, my era of expertise is the 1970s in the NFL. Heck, I even have a Facebook page by that title, and my very first book also has the same title, The NFL in the 1970s. But every now and then I check out a different era, so I might surprise you. Anyway, if you like pro football history, please check out my bi-weekly segment here called The Pigskin Past when you get a chance. I think you'll enjoy it.
Now, how about we talk about some birthdays for this January 15th of members of the Hall of Fame? And we'll recognize the first one that was born in 1892 on the 15th of January in Bollisonwood, Pennsylvania. Princeton's great quarterback of yesteryear, Hobie Baker, arrived into this world. Hobie is described by some, including the NFF, as the greatest amateur hockey player ever from the U.S., and on the gridiron, Baker was an expert at timing the plummet of a punted ball, where he could establish himself to catch it on a dead run and quickly advance on it and return to make it extremely difficult for the punt coverage teams to take a good angles on him. Not once did he muff or fumble a punt in his career, and his longest return was 88 yards. In 1913, Hobie set a Princeton record of 13 punt returns in one game against Yale. His footballfoundation.org bio goes on to say that Princeton tied Yale 6-6 in 1912 and 3-3 in 1913. And all of Princeton's points in those two games were Hobie Baker's drop-kick field goals, with the longest one being 41 yards. Hobie Baker was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1975. And how about another Hall of Famer from Pennsylvania? January 15th, 1953, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the University of Maryland's fine linebacker Randy White was born. The National Football Foundation's biography page on Randy White says that when he arrived at Maryland, he was there to play fullback. But soon the coaching staff changed his position to defensive tackle, and many people in the know that after him called him the quickest lineman in football. Randy was named the All-America team by the Associated Press in 1973, and he was a unanimous selection in 1974. His other gridiron awards in 1974 included the Outland Award for the nation's best interior lineman and the Lombardi Award for the nation's best lineman or linebacker. The NFF voters selected Randy White to gain entrance into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1994. Randy was the second player selected in the 1975 NFL Draft by the Dallas Cowboys, and White played for 14 seasons in the NFL for Dallas and was an All-Pro in 9 of them, missing only one game in his entire pro career. As we read earlier in this post, he was the co-MVP of Super Bowl XII in 1978. The Pro Football Hall of Fame also enshrined Randy White in 1994, same year as the College Football Hall of Fame, to their museum. January 15th, 1957, Tacoma Park, Alabama. Defensive tackle Marty Lyons of Alabama was born. His official college stats, as listed on the footballfoundation.org website, are that he had 202 tackles and 20 sacks. He was a consensus All-American selection and was on the national champions Crimson Tide team of 1978. The National Football Foundation selected Marty Lyons to enter into the College Football Hall of Fame in the year 2011. And since we're talking about defenders on our last few Hall of Famers, let's go to another person on the defensive side. January 15th, 1959, Chesapeake, Virginia. The ball-hawking UCLA Bruins safety Kenny Easley celebrates his day of birth. Kenny was a star player for the Bruins pretty much from 1977 when he arrived there until 1980 when he graduated. Per the NFF, Easley was an All-America 3 times in 4 years and had 19 interceptions and 374 tackles. Kenny Easley found the doors of the College Football Hall of Fame wide open to welcome him in 1991. The Seattle Seahawks used the 4th overall pick in the 1981 NFL Draft to take Kenny, and he played with the franchise for 7 seasons, making the Pro Bowl in 5 of those. He earned the AFC Defensive Player of the Year award in 1983 and had a league-high 7 interceptions. He did one better the next year when he was the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year of 1984. The Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrined Kenny Easley in the year 2017. Peeking up at the clock, the time's running down. We're going to go into victory formation, take a knee, and let this baby run out. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back tomorrow for the next podcast. We invite you to check out our website, PigskinDispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. PigskinDispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. A special thanks to the talents of Mike and Gene Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
was just another ordinary day in the offices of the Pittsburgh Guardian newspaper circa 1924. But for Marla Delft, assistant editor, everything was about to change. For she was about to discover the awesome attractiveness of Row 1 brand retro sports paraphernalia items thanks to Orville Mulligan, sports writer.
And there it is.
Wow, Orville, that's really the bee's knees.
Isn't it just? A poster-sized replica of the actual 1909 World Series program cover.
I can see that. But where did you get it? And where'd you get it framed?
I ordered it from the Row 1 website, where over 6,000 items of sports memorabilia from the 1880s to the 1990s are available for reproduction, in multiple sizes and in several different materials, with over a dozen styles of frame to choose from for prints like this.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Delft would love to put up more of these in the office. But I'm equally as sure they're beyond this newspaper's budget.
Not at all, my dear Marla. See for yourself. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com/row1.
sportshistorynetwork.com/row1. Oh my, these are good prices. Oh, and look at this stuff. Oklahoma-Nebraska football, college basketball art, Michael Jordan items.
And so
retro
it was that
sports
Marla Delft
advertisement
discovered the
flowers.
splendiferous magic of Row 1 sports memorabilia, arts, and prints. You can too by visiting sportshistorynetwork.com/row1. That's ROW1 today for access to the full Row 1 catalog of gallery prints and gifts like t-shirts, long-sleeve shirts, telephone cases, coffee mugs, blankets, pillows, towels, and even shower curtains. Act today for 15% discount off all prints with coupon code SHN15 and 20% off all other items with coupon code SHN20 at checkout. And keep your dial locked to the Sports History Network for the exciting chronicles of the 1920 sports world in Orville Mulligan, sports writer. Coming soon.
Are you having a hard time figuring out what to get Dad for Father's Day? You should check out Row 1 Brand's Vintage Pictorum Gallery. They have America's best sports art. With over 7,200 historic sports prints, you're assured to find something unique for Dad this Father's Day. Instead of a boring old tie, get him a historic baseball photo taken by Henry High Sandom at the historic Polo Grounds Stadium in New York City during the 1894 Temple Cup. Or, if he's an NFL buff, check out the 1963 vintage NFL poster. These are so good looking that you'll be amazed how they turn out. Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1 and save 15% off your order.